in Shanghai and in Bali and in Bratislava, and she's now just finished organizing a program, what we call the Africa Free Market Caravan in Uganda and Tanzania, that she's organized with scholars to go and talk about free markets and all that too. So, well, at any rate, I think I know you, but okay, thank you very much for coming.
Aloha. Yeah, thank you for coming. And I usually prepare the food alongside with the theme of the talk. I just spent 30 days in Europe, traveled in 8 countries. So it's hard to cook food for all different countries I've been to. Then I thought, okay, the goulash, the Czech Republic, the people were they say goulash is their national food. And I was in Hungary, they say, oh, goulash is our national food. And then I was in Turkey, they say, oh, we have goulash. So I said, okay, I'm going to make goulash. And also the soup, the lentil soup in Turkey, that's one thing they all love. And not, a little bit different from the American lentil soup. American lentil soup is very thick. It's more like porridge. And so this is more of Turkish style lentil soup. And potato salad is usually Ukraine and Eastern Europe. And the other green salad is green salad. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I started in Prague. And Prague is one of my favorite cities. So I scheduled a longer time there just to enjoy it, give myself a little vacation. And our good friend, who's a professor in Prague, and just finished building a guest house. And he said, Leo, you will be my first guest in my guest house. It was really a big house, actually, a guest house. So I spent about a week there, and it was in a small town outside of Prague, very historical Bohemian town. So then I went to Prague, and I was invited as a speaker for Students for Liberty. It's an international organization, have branch chapters in all over the world. In every corner of the world, and usually it's by not by country but by campus, different universities, and so it started I think in 2008 or 9, and we have been part of it for a long time, supporting, even though we're not students, but we support them. I went to Afghanistan a few years ago because they had the Student for Liberty event there, but nobody wants to go to Afghanistan, so I said I will go. So I've been to Afghanistan for two times, and spoke at the conference they organized with Students for Liberty. So I was a speaker there. They called LibertyCon Europe. They have LibertyCon Europe, LibertyCon US. The LibertyCon US is going to be in October in Miami. And this time in Europe, we had about 800, 900 people participated, because a lot of countries still have restrictions and for travel and visas. So not a lot of people. Usually they have more people from Africa will participate, but this time not as many. It was a great celebration for with the young people, with liberty-minded people, and then a lot of other speakers there as well. Of course, over there we talk a lot about Ukraine and Russia, other topics too, but I want to just mention something I took away from being in Czech Republic. They opened up their country, their homes, their churches for refugees, very willingly and with open arms. Then they start to reflect on two things. One thing is they thought Ukraine, before the war, if you talk about Ukrainian, all you think was maids, domestic maids. My cleaning lady is Ukrainian. My housekeeper was Ukrainian. That's what they associate Ukrainian on their mind. And this time when this war happened and the Ukrainian refugee to come, they suddenly realized they are fighters. They will say no to bully. They will say no to Russia, who's much bigger than Ukraine. And for Czech people, they said they never was fighters. When German came, they said, okay, just come in. And then when the Soviet came, they did again. Okay, come in. Rule over us, take over. And they said, if next time somebody come again, they probably will not fight again, but now Ukrainians are their role models. They said, next time we have to stand up for our own nation. And we will say no to whoever. So that's one thing the people in Czech Republic are thinking about it, and so they want to be more strong and brave. I think that's a good thing for them, and I learned a lot about their history this time because they were in Hofburg. They were divided. They have in the districts, and they were part of Austrian-Hungarian. Some part was there, and all these. Then finally, they teamed up with Slovakians. Both are small ethnic group nations. They said, we want to say no to the Germans, we want to say no to the Hungarian, we want to say no to all others, and only if we bond together. So that's how the birth of Czechoslovakia was born. And but they were two different nations, and they were never really together. Then the Soviet came, and they became a communist country. And then after Soviet collapsed, and it's about time they split to their own nation. So I'm just simplifying their history, but Czech Republic had fortunately had a very open-minded president, and who is also free market, and so they developed really fast. Slovakia, on the other hand, was not, so it's still poor right now. And there's two countries. And the second thing they reflected on, actually, this is not just people from Czech Republic, but all over Europe. Every country I went to on this refugee issue, because every country I went to, they all said, oh, Ukrainian refugees, open armed, please come in, open private homes and churches and everything. Then they said, wait a minute, not very long ago, Afghanistan had a lot of refugees came. We didn't want them. And the US made them to host these refugees, like Albania, like Romania, Bulgaria, all these countries, because US paid them a lot of money, but they were treated like refugees in the housing, they were moved very often. Today you are here, tomorrow they say, okay, you have to move to another place. They were treated like refugees. They couldn't go, they couldn't work. They didn't have a freedom, and they were not respected. They were, people feel sorry for them because they're refugees. And they were not very warmly welcomed by the local people. Then before that was Syrian refugees. Syrian refugees were treated the same way. And then before that was a lot of African refugees was not welcomed either. And their political campaigns, if the candidates say we open to the refugees, might not really get elected. If we have to, you know, and then they suddenly thought about it and said, what? Why? Why do we have this kind of different attitude? Oh, because Ukrainians are white, Christian culture background. We felt like they are part of us. We couldn't tell the difference if they walk on the street. So they're part of us. Of course we welcome them. Those others, their skin are darker. They're Muslims. We don't want them to mix into our culture. We don't want them. They're outsiders. They suddenly realized they were so prejudiced. And then they start to have conversation among the leaders of the country and the different political parties. They say they all the same people facing difficulties in life. Why do we treat them so differently? We didn't even realize it. And right now, even in Turkey, they were telling the Syrians, now your country is stabilized, you should go home now. No, they're not stabilized, but they don't want them. Work, I met a lot of Ukrainians everywhere, usually in the restaurants as waiters. No waiters, waitress, because all men still back home fighting. All the girls, women and children were refugees. And I asked them, is it easy to find the work here? Oh yeah, of course, very easy. Then I asked Afghanis, no, we cannot work. Yeah, it was like this. Oh, they're all my personal friends. So after Czech Republic, I went to London. I haven't been to London since my daughter graduated from university in England. I didn't go to her graduation from the master's degree because Gerard helped her submit the paper and she didn't even go for her own graduation. Oh, right. Yeah, and I was very happily surprised how beautifully developed London become. There's beautiful new buildings and development and mixed in with the old. It's very well done, very tastefully done, and was clean, and I just like it more. Before I always liked it London, but this time I liked it more. I walked 18 kilometers just in half a day, just walk around in London. 18 kilometers, that's like more than 30 miles, yeah? And went to some museums and really had a great time. Spent 2 nights there, and I was part of a free market roadshow. And an organization in Vienna called Center for Economic something. It's a Hayek center before. They organized this free market roadshow. This year is their 13th year or something. They cover about 35 cities in all over Europe. They have different teams going to different cities. So my assignment was 5 cities. London, London, Paris, Budapest, Zurich, and Tbilisi. So that was my assignment. And there were my friends, they were in Portugal and Spain, different countries, and all over Eastern Europe, all the cities, different cities. So we gave a talk to some group of people in London. It's Ayn Rand Institute, London, hosted us. And then we took the train to Paris. And when we were getting into the train station, there's different entrances for different platforms. And the ones going to Paris, and the lady shouting, "Wear mask, wear mask," because in London nobody wear mask, right? And and also I love about London is they're very fashionable. It was still cold. In my opinion, it was still cold. People are already wearing very short skirts, and they're celebrating. And then they say, "Wear mask, wear mask." So we put mask on just to get into in line for the train to Paris. And the train was pretty comfortable. We supposed to wear masks on the train, but I took it off and they didn't say anything, so I just did. I hate masks, and whenever they're not, standing in front of my face and telling me to put on, I will not put it on. Anyways, so in Paris, we got there, and I rushed to take a picture at the Eiffel Tower because my friend wants a picture there, and he dragged me to go to take a picture for him in front of Eiffel Tower. We're not very far. We're just about 2 blocks away from the Arc of Triumph. And so we walk around and we gave a talk. I don't even remember who hosted it. It was traveling. And of course, after every talk, all the teachers and local hosts will host us a very, very nice dinner and a lot of wine. So I don't remember a lot of things. And with some participants too, we had good conversation. And this guy who were in Paris said, "Oh, Lee, long time no see." I said, "Oh, I don't remember meeting him." He said, "Last time I saw you was at Morocco." I said, "Oh, I see. I organized an event in Morocco, and I invited a lot of speakers from all over the world, but I forgot who I invited." So he was one of my speakers, and I don't remember which country he's from. Maybe Egypt or somewhere. Anyways, it was great. Then flew to Budapest. Also, I haven't been to Budapest for at least 20 years. It has changed quite a bit, but not as much as London. And they're still slow. And Ken and I started to go to Eastern Europe in the early 1990s. Right after the Berlin Wall fell. Because I told Ken, I said that we need to go there to bring them the right way of thinking, because the transition, they were not prepared to leave communism and for something ready on their mind. So whoever get there to guide them, who get some influence. So I said, Ken, I knew they're not ready. So let's go there and teach them Austrian school economic libertarianism. Let's go. So we went there every single year, every summer, almost all the Eastern European countries for 20 some years. So then the free market roadshow started. they have a lot more money. For me, I was just asking teachers, can you just come with your own money, with your own time? And people always supported me. I have no organization. I don't have a foundation to give me money, but we have people who want to do something, and they don't mind to use their own summer. A lot of them are professors, use their own summer, use their own money. Sometimes they even pay for other people who couldn't afford. So that's how I organize these things. And now then the Free Market Roadshow, they have a lot of foundations support them. And so I said, okay, they can take over Europe. So I started to go to China and East Asian countries and doing the same thing. So I leave the Europe to them. So I haven't been to these Eastern European countries for 15, 20 years, mostly 15 years. So it was really nice to be back there and see the differences. To me, it's so obvious, the development from early 1990s. The countries who embrace free market, economic freedom, and Austrian school economics and capitalism, they developed so fast. Every year we went there.
What countries are these?
Estonia, Czech Republic, Lithuania, Latvia, all these countries, they developed really fast, especially Lithuania. We've been there probably 10 times every year. We saw the changes. Belarus, Ukraine, Republic of Georgia, very, very slow because they didn't let go of their communist way of thinking.
Which countries are slow? Sorry.
Belarus, Ukraine, Republic of Georgia, and all the Stan countries.
Yeah.
Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and also Albania. So they were, and also Macedonia. And so the changes is so obvious. Change or slow change, no change, or dramatic change, because almost 30 years. And Budapest, Hungary, had changes, but slow, quite slow, compared to Belarus or Latvia and Estonia. And so after Hungary, we went to Zurich. That's, for me, it's very shocking because I've been to Switzerland a lot. And in the past, like 20 years ago or 25 years ago, was all I remember was nice, beautiful, developed, and clean, and everything. And this time, not so much anymore. And they're so backwards. If you want to get the internet at the airport, you know, most of the airport, you just get it free internet. Or you have to go to information center, a booth. Only one entire airport. You have to go find that booth. And then you use your boarding pass and scan it, and you get a code. And use that code, you can register, sign in for the Wi-Fi. I had an hour and a half layover, and took me more than an hour to find that booth and get the code and everything. And I got internet for about 10 minutes before I had to board, because I want to be connected with the world. And Switzerland, I thought, Switzerland, my goodness, it's so difficult. And a lot of other things too in the city. And we called a taxi. They arranged a taxi like weeks before I was there because I had to, right after my talk, I have to go to the airport and catch a flight to Tbilisi. So they arranged a taxi to pick me up at exactly the time I finished my talk. Then we were there and waiting and waiting and waiting. The taxi didn't come, and the guy keeps saying, "This is not Switzerland. This is not Switzerland. In Switzerland, these things doesn't happen." I said, "Oh, I don't know." So after about 30 minutes, the taxi didn't come. So somebody ran to a nearby hotel and got the taxi for me and took me to the airport. The traffic was bad, and a lot of things was just not like didn't make me feel like a modern city. Very conservative, not embracing new things. And of course, they're so still proud of their luxury shops, watches and things like that everywhere. And but other than that, it's just feel weird for me. And then after I got to the airport, usually it's all direct flight, but this time was have to have a layover in Warsaw, Poland. And then I was told that their air controller is threatening to strike, so all the flights were grounded. They don't know when, so we're waiting and waiting, and the airport doesn't give us information either. I thought I was in Cambodia somewhere. They don't give you information. And we just waited and waited, and finally, took off. Of course, I missed my flight. I was in Warsaw, 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that. I don't remember. No. Actually, when I landed in Warsaw, and the other plane didn't leave yet because that one is also late. And half of my team from other countries also on that flight, they were waiting for me. But then the passport control, they have to, because I'm from the Schengen country to a non-Schengen country, so have to go through the passport. There's only one person. There are several flights. And so it took 40 minutes for about 50 people to get through. And I run to the gate, and the plane just left. And so LOT, the Polish airline, gave me a hotel, gave me some vouchers for taxi, and they said, "Oh, the only flight is the same time tomorrow at 11 o'clock at night." So I said, okay. So I went to the hotel and remembered I have so many friends there, and I called them, and long story short, I had a great day in Warsaw. And that's another interesting thing, because the first time I went there, I did not like it. The reason for that is there's the tallest building, the monument, is just such a Stalin style. In every country, in Shanghai there's one, in Beijing there's one, in every communist country and major city had one. That kind, and with a big star on top. And that's the most beautiful and monument in Warsaw. And then they have an old town. Every city in Europe have old town and the city square. And they have beautiful buildings and with a lot of drawings, paintings, usually it's biblical or fairies and whatever. Only in Warsaw, what I saw was exactly like China, the hammer and sickle and big arm muscled workers, and with a star and a army with the guns. They use the old style of painting, but they have the images. It's communist. So I was very bothered by it. And then other than that, the whole town, everywhere you walk, There's walls will have a plaque or some names written there, like 10 children was killed here by Nazi, and 50 women was there killed by Nazi, and the date, the names. You just feel so depressed, so depressed. And I was told that at that time, Warsaw was flattened and by the bombing, and they rebuilt. So they have those memorial plaques everywhere. It was very, very depressing. But this time I didn't feel so depressed. I think they changed the drawings in the old town square, more mutual, not biblical, but not communist anymore. Actually, Poland is a country that's have a lot of Christians because they had the Pope there, very Catholic. And it developed a lot. When we first went there wasn't a freeway. And we drove across Poland many times, and we saw the changes. Poland started to change when during U.S. Went to Iraq, and the international community divided, either anti-war or supporting U.S. or condemning U.S. actions. And so Poland supported U.S., so got a lot of foreign aid and start to develop. And then joined the European Union, and now the borders were gone, so we developed a lot faster. And this time I saw the differences, and not as big change as some Baltic countries, but it's a good change there. And so I spent the day in Warsaw and then got to Tbilisi. Tbilisi, I don't know why, it's same as in Kyrgyzstan. All their flights coming in and leaving in the early morning, like from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning. So I don't know why. In Kyrgyzstan was the same way. So I arrived at 3 o'clock or something in the morning, and I got to the hotel, and my talk is at 11 in the morning, so I got some sleep. And Georgia had started to change. When we were there 14 years ago and 15 years ago, and was really slow in change. All those buildings are run down buildings, and everything. It's just representing a poor country, but in a beautiful way. They don't, because they had the old buildings, it was still there, just really run down, sad looking. Now still a lot of these buildings. So I asked them, what's you're developing, you're embracing free market, what's going on? Oh, because government have a lot of regulations on buildings. So even you own it, you can't do much about it. So some buildings, I look at it, I say, there's a light there. There's some flowers in the window. People live there, it feel like they're falling apart. Somebody is going to come down from the second floor, and people still live there. All the building looks so sad from the outside. I stayed longer because that was my last assignment to give a talk for the Free Market Roadshow. So I gave myself extra 3 days for vacation. So I moved from the hotel to my friend's apartment. And when he took me to the apartment, I look at it, oh, this looks like a Soviet style. Outside looks really bad. But then the hallway looks bad, and the stairway looks bad, just reminds me of China. And then when I walk in, I was shocked. Really nice. The kitchen with all the new up-to-date appliances, even have dishwasher, you know, and everything was really, really nice. But the funny thing is, I have one suitcase, and we said, which floor? They said, fifth floor. I said, can we use the elevator? They said, elevator? You have to pay to use the elevator. And my friend said, I didn't bother to buy the token. You have to go somewhere to buy tokens. Then you put into the elevator, and then the elevator will work. And he said, I did not buy the tokens, so we just have to walk. I said, okay. So, which is fine, it's only 5 floors. And I thought that was a clever thing. If you you pay for use, right? And
You should have a token machine at the ground floor. That would be clever.
yeah, but they don't.
That right there.
No.
That's stupid.
And also, the ground floor has no elevator. The elevator starts on the first floor. And so I've learned a lot. And then they told me the ground floor have a lot of meters. Oh, I said these are for gasoline. No, I mean electricity, gas, and water, right? They said, no, we don't pay for water. We have a lot of water. So water's free. And we only pay electricity and natural gas. Wow, that's every day we just learn new things. There is one landmark I have to mention in the middle of Tbilisi, outside the old town. It's called Freedom Bridge. Very modern style bridge, pedestrian bridge. And now if you look at the pictures of Tbilisi, that's the only thing you will see. That's designed by a Italian architect. And that whole area called Freedom Square. And so they love the idea of freedom. And when we talk about Tbilisi, Georgia, we have to talk about the wine. Nobody really knew about Georgian wine. We all know French wine, you know, and Italian or the New World, the Argentina, the Chilean, whatever, right? Georgian was the earliest nation to make wine. They have thousands of history of making wine, but you know, Stalin was born in Georgia, and he had a very poor taste. He only liked the one kind of wine, kind of sweet, from very cheap kind of grape. So because he likes that wine, they destroyed all the vineyard of ancient vineyards and only grow the kind of grapes he liked for all these years until Soviet Union collapsed. And not right away, probably early 2000, they start to bring back the ancient vine. Somebody still preserved a little bit, and now the biggest industry is their wine. Everywhere you go to stores, they have hundreds of different kind of wine. So of course we were there wine tasting every day here and there, and their wine is so good. And that's a story worth telling, because Stalin just one person, just because he just liked one kind of wine, and everything destroyed. The entire culture was destroyed. Now revitalize it, and I got this ring there. There's all grape leaves, and this two thing looks like grapes. And very good design. And so you go to Tbilisi, you still see very ugly buildings because the government had these regulations on building and renovating and everything. But other than that, life is improving. They started late. Now you go to the street, a lot of people just sitting on the sidewalk selling whatever they can find from their house. I think I can make a lot of good living because we have a lot of junks here. And because the factory, the planned economy factories are not profitable. They have to close down, and people are losing their jobs, and a lot of government offices are no longer needed, and just a lot of people are unemployed. So what they did, they just find things from their country homes or their homes, or they become collectors. So whatever on the street, you see hundreds of people on the sidewalk selling whatever, everything. That was kind of good free market, spontaneous free market economy. Yeah, so I hope government doesn't have some regulation for those people, because in China, 40 years ago was exactly like that. Now, if you want to sell something on the sidewalk, and somebody will come in and first break everything you're selling and beat you up. That's what's going on in China. So I hope Georgia doesn't go that direction. And just because people, they don't need the government to provide them jobs, and they, in order to live, they will find their way as long as government doesn't regulate it. And so
I'm curious, was there much, I mean, your talks on these stop scores about China, were they real interested in
Yes.
what's going on in China?
when my first talk was in Prague. Actually, I went to first, when university invited me because they knew I was there, so they say, "Oh, would you like to give a talk?" So I did that, and then at the Students for Liberty, it was so packed, the room. It's a standing room only. A lot of people stood in the side, out in the hallway, and everywhere I talked, and sometimes it's different topics, but similar. They all said to me, "We never heard about that. We didn't know. Why didn't we know?" I say, "It's all available. I have some charts, datas." I said, "This is from Chinese government official data. I copy from their website." They couldn't believe me. But they're all in Chinese language because they're not allowed to other foreigners to take a look, because China, the poverty level in China is so huge. The government official poverty, what do you call poverty line, or is 94 cents a day income. If you make a $1 a day, then you are out of poverty in China. And the map I showed, they have all the red and pink and white spots. All the red is under 94 cents, some only 20 cents. And the pink one is just going out of, it's reaching 95 cents and going out. And the white ones are out of poverty, like Shanghai and Beijing. And everybody saw that. "Where did you get this?" I said, "I got it from the official government website." "Why do they have this?" I said, "We all learned growing up in China. We listen to the news, we follow their propaganda, but we think backwards. So they're bragging about Xi Jinping's new policy, bringing people out of poverty. The progress. Praise Xi Jinping for the progress. That's why they had this map from red to pink. For me, I look the other way. How many people still live like 20 cents a day? It was now old. It's 2021. Yeah. And so a lot of people ask me for that. And so all the things, I didn't make it up. I have videos, I have data, official data. So everybody say, "We didn't know, we have no idea." They all thought China was a threat. That's what my purpose of my talk is China is not a threat. If you think China will become the world power, economic power, give it another 100 years. I'm not joking. There's no technology innovation because everything has to go through the government, get approval, so nobody bothers to think of something new. The best thing they do is copy others. It's safe. It's supported by the government. And the US, the European countries are not dumb. When they have a new technology, they move their old one to China to open their branch office. So the Chinese are copying the already old technology, and by the time they get it, it's already 4 or 5 years older. So they're always behind. And there's I think I'm off track. Yeah. So this last one, since I'm there already, I would just watch the video by this chief editor of Chinese science publication, like Science and Technology, this magazine. He's the editor. He himself is a scientist also. He said, what our biggest thing we're bragging about is making this airplane. China will make our own airplane. And this technology, they're bragging about it, was 200 years old in the West. And they finally, I think a couple of years ago, they finally made the first Chinese airplane. Made in China airplane. They're bragging about within a few hours. In Chinese social media, WeChat, there's a lot of people already came up with a picture of bubbles pointing at things. This is Germany, this is Switzerland, this is US, whatever. They said after they took apart this whole airplane, the only thing made in China was the paint saying made in China on the airplane. Only the paint. That's not a joke. It's just no, but China is a threat. It's their digital currency. Their RMB. They're trying to make the world embrace it. You go to Waikele, you see all these UnionPay and Alipay, right? That's their way to control everybody's financial life, expanding to other sectors of your lives. You bought a gift, bought a bouquet of flowers for him. I paid with this digital currency. It will get all the data, where I bought it, how much I spent, where it's delivered to, on what date. They will know his birthday, his address, and everything. So it's just a big network of spying on everybody's life. And they started with the Winter Olympic. They make all the athletes download the app, saying that's the only way you can spend money in China. Your credit card doesn't work, and this and that doesn't work. So if you download this app, you can just spend money and shopping and everything. People usually don't think about it. It's for your convenience. And then in China, how they promote that, if you download this app, all your bills are paid automatically, and also you get discount on this shop, this shop, this shop. Everybody thought, oh, what a good deal. And they start to embrace it. And then they use that data to do multiple things. On China, of course, prison term and whatever, death penalty. But for international, they can also easily to corrupt you. If They know you're making this much income every month and suddenly you are in debt. They will immediately find ways to corrupt you, give you a loan, give you something, and this and that. They can corrupt all the politicians in this country or whatever world through this. So that's their intention and that's their direction. So that's the threat. If you talk about China as a threat, that's one of the biggest threat. And the people don't know to say no. That's really scary. Just how many people say no to TikTok? Almost none, right? Only in India is outlawed TikTok, and Trump tried, but then the lobby got him stopped. And so the ERMB is a threat, a danger.
Are there any questions we would like to have about Joe?
So on the Free Market Roadshow, what were some of the themes of the other speakers? I mean, was there any themes that were general?
I don't want to bad mouth about it, but there's very not well organized. I didn't know what my topic is. 5 countries, I only knew what I'm supposed to talk in Budapest, Hungary, and my talk in, no, that's only one. They told me I'm supposed to talk about something.
Okay.
Oh, and also in Zurich, they told me what I'm supposed to talk. But then when I got there, see how much trouble I got there, right? And I got there, they said I have 20 minutes, so I prepared for 20 minutes. They were in a very old, nice old building, so there's no way you can use PowerPoint or nothing. And they drink wine before the talk. And so anyways, I just started and they told me, stop. I said, what? I thought I have 20 minutes. They said, oh, 10 minutes. 20, the other 10 is the question and answer. I came around half the world to got there.
10-minute talk.
And then even, but anyways, each, they depend on the local organization. In Budapest, it's called something organization. It's like a Norman Foundation. It's a government backed NGO. So they have a lot of money. So they have more preparation and things gave me agenda and this and that. But mostly the joke was Dan Mitchell. He was partially my teammate. He always say, "Oh,
Dan Mitchell's from Cato.
yeah, you're a grassroots speaker many times," and he always say, "Oh, Lee, I know what they assign you. You're going to talk about the history of French transportation in 1932." Every day he told me my topic is French transportation in 1932. So that's our joke. But I'm good at just go onto the stage and start talking. If they don't ask me for PowerPoint. If they give me some time, I can make a PowerPoint. Otherwise, I just go and talk. And some are larger audience, some are much smaller than this. And you never know.
What about the other speakers, though? Were there any
Dan Mitchell always talk about taxes.
Okay.
And some actually, I didn't even get it. And some good speakers like Yaron Book and those Ayn Institute, they are professional speakers. They just go the objective, you know.
The Kibbies were there too, right?
Yeah, we were together in Prague and together in Tbilisi. So when I went to Paris and London, they went to Slovakia and Warsaw and somewhere else. Then we all end up in Tbilisi together. And then different people go in different
I have a question. You know, like in the more like impoverished European countries that you visited, like the ones that are stuck in their still like Soviet ways, do they have a sense of like property rights? I mean, as bad as the United States can be, we still have this idea that, you know, I'm gonna, you know, like put down a down payment, take out a mortgage, put down a down payment, and one day own a house. Do these people like have that sort of concept?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Because Georgia, I said everybody have house. They said there's no housing shortage or issue. I say how so? That's because when the Soviet time, your working unit give you house. In China too. In China it's very small, 2 square meter per person quota. Yeah, and in Georgia was bigger. You all had a flat. When the communists gone and government just gave you the title, you didn't even need to pay. So everybody had a house. They have more than one, usually, and they rent it out to foreigners or new immigrants. But that's your property, but you don't have a right to fix it, like I said. So
they just improve the inside,
yeah,
but not the outside.
Right. And the saddest country is Turkey. That's my last one. I went there because my friend was from Afghanistan, escaped last August and ended up in Turkey. So I want to visit them. Long story short, the roadshow bought me a ticket. I have 10 days in between from my talk. I was going to go to Syria, and Syria stopped issuing visa to all U.S. citizens passports, so I couldn't go to Syria. So I went to Turkey. Their inflation is so bad, and the exchange rate changes by the day. Only weekends, people don't get nervous because that's no change. They don't know what's going to happen on Monday. And my friend, they hold US dollars, and every day they go to the bank and change some local money. And a friend, I stay with a couple. The woman works for US Embassy, so she get paid with US dollars, so their life is still okay. But the husband is a university professor. The salary compared to the price, the buying power is just dropping and dropping and dropping. For me, it was great. You get a feast of dinner, and for 8 people with a birthday celebration, it was less than $30, the total bill. Everything still calculated by cents, not dollars, by cents, because it's so cheap, because the money is just getting devalued so much. But the funny thing is, in Istanbul, I stayed with one of the very well-known professor, and we were talking, and I said, economy is so bad, inflation is so bad, and unemployment is so bad, but the street, every single restaurant is packed with people. The street has so many people, you can't even walk very fast. You just have to go like this, follow the flow. And where do they get the money? And especially young people. Everywhere. I went to a store, and I couldn't even see the merchandise. Everybody was buying. It's a cheap store, and we don't know. But everybody was really worried because the economy is not doing well at all in Turkey.
Let me suggest that everybody, you can discuss more with Lee or with each other, but dessert is also prepared out there. And Lee, do you have any comment about the dessert?
No, I couldn't find the European dessert, but whatever, it's delicious. Oh, I have Turkish delight.
Oh, wow.
One is pomegranate, one is pomegranate and rose. Those are the most famous flavors.
The apple pie is from that European country, Costco. So thank you very much, ladies.
Yeah, thank you.